And good afternoon from Jacksonville State University, where this afternoon the Gamecocks out of the OVC getting set to play their only home game of this shortened fall schedule as they host the Mercer Bears out of Macon, Georgia, and the Southern Conference. And welcome into Burgess Snowfield. Mickey Shadrick's joined this afternoon here on ESPN3 by former JSU All-American tight end Butch Barker. And Butch, Jacksonville State going on the road last week, giving Florida State all they could handle. Actually jumped out to a 2-touchdown lead before falling 41-24. Little confidence coming out of that game, even though it's a loss. Meanwhile, Mercer feels good about themselves with a new head football coach in Nick Cronick.
Yeah, and he has had tremendous success no matter where he's been. Most of the time you think a head coach gets a new job, he's got to get his players in. He's won 4 straight conference championships, 3 of those at different schools.
Well, let's take a look at today's impact players. First off, from the visitors from Mercer, Tyree Devison. Butch, he is only 5'8", but he is a handful running the football.
Well, I tell you, today, who can run the ball the best may determine the outcome of this game. This guy can run the football. He's only 14 yards short of 2,000 yards for his career and only 675 yards shy of the school record for Mercer. T. Mitchell currently holds that record.
Meanwhile, for Jacksonville State, nobody's been better at the FCS level the last decade than the Gamecocks. Big reason for that is quarterback play. The man at the helm right now is Derek Cooper.
And another tremendous athlete. He's thrown for over 7,000 yards, accomplished that last week against Florida State, went over that mark. He's thrown for 60 TDs. That puts him one behind the JSU school record. Ed Lett currently holds that record, and he's also only 600 yards behind the total yards passing record of Eli Jenkins. So again, both of these guys going for top spots in the record book for their schools. Tremendous athletes, both of them.
2 schools that have met in all sports except football. That'll happen for the first time today at Burgess Snowfield. The kickoff from Jacksonville is coming up. Burgess Snowfield as we are getting set for the kickoff today here in Jacksonville between the homestanding Gamecocks and the Mercer Bears. We talked about impact players in our open. Well, we have to talk about what I will call the impact weather today, which obviously Hurricane Delta coming on shore yesterday in the Louisiana area. The outer bands of the rain from that storm affecting us here in northeast Alabama. And as you can see on your screen there, we've got a pretty high chance of rain today. It's been raining ever since I arrived at the stadium a couple hours ago.
Well, the good thing with the artificial turf, you don't have to worry that much about the footing, so that's going to be beneficial for both teams. Wet ball is going to be a part of it. I think the running game is going to become much more important because of that, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of success these teams can have running the football. JSU did not run the football well last year, did not run it well against Florida State in their first game of this season. Of course, this is the first game for the Mercer Bears.
Well, we just had the coin toss, and Jacksonville State won the toss. They deferred until the second half, and so Mercer will get the ball to begin the game.
You know, and another aspect weather-wise that could come into play here is if the wind picks up, it's supposed to be out of the east. A little bit of wind right now, if you can see the flag at some point during the game, you can see it's almost directly out of the east, at this point. But it's supposed to pick up somewhere between 10 and 15 miles an hour. If it does, could certainly affect, again, either team's ability to pass the football successfully.
And there's a look at Bryant Wallace, redshirt junior from Florence. He will get us underway from Jacksonville. A high, deep kick fielded at the goal line by DeAndre Johnson. A huge hole right up the middle, and Johnson is in a foot race. One defender trying to catch up to him, and he will not do so. Touchdown on the opening kickoff of the football game.
Wow. What a start for the Mercer Bears. Coach Cronick comes in his very first season, and the first play of 2020 is a touchdown on a kickoff return. Outstanding blocking, great run, but to be honest, nobody laid a finger on it. Great job of blocking, opening it up. what a way to begin the 2020 season for the Mercer Bears.
And the game last week at Florida State, Butch, was a pretty good special teams day for Jacksonville State, but what a rough start in that category here this afternoon.
Much improved performance special teams wise last week versus last season, but again, not on that first play.
And Caleb Dowd tacks on the extra point. Another look at the opening kickoff. Boy, DeAndre Johnson had to reach up high just to retrieve the football, and then he was hardly touched, right up the hash mark. Looked like Hugh Gowdy might have a chance at him, but Johnson with great speed and the touchdown to get things started off on the right track for the visitors from Macon, Georgia.
Darian Mead's the only player for JSU to lay a finger on him, and he didn't knock him off stride at all. 101, I would think, officially yards on the kickoff return. What a start for the Mercer Bears. Coach Cronick has had so much success everywhere he's been. Again, Mickey, when I'm looking at his stat, I am amazed by the fact that he's won 4 conference championships in a row. But the part that's amazing is that he's done that at 3 different schools. Can you imagine going into a school where you think you've got to build the program, and in your first season you win the conference championship, and that's exactly what he's done. We'll have to see if he's able to repeat that feat with the Mercer's Bears in the Southern Conference.
Well, the fans who have made their way to Jacksonville from Macon, Georgia, Butch, they've got to be happy with what they've seen here in the first 13 seconds of this football game.
I tell you, that is quick strike.
So Mercer to kick it off. And it'll be fielded inside the 10. Gowdy calls for the fair catch, and the Gamecocks will set up shop for their first offensive possession of the game from the 20-yard line. The Gamecocks, of course, led by Zared Cooper, the quarterback we spoke of in our open. Got a more experienced offensive line to work behind this season, does Zared Cooper, but a new group of wide receivers. You know, it was interesting watching Jacksonville State last week against Florida State without those receivers we've come so used to seeing the last few years here at Jacksonville.
Pearson and the bunch does have Trey Berry back as their tight end, though. He should be a big weapon for the Gamecocks.
And this is a new weapon that we saw last week down in Tallahassee have a good day. Number 5, Josh Samuel. He's a transfer coming in and gets the Gamecocks off to a good start offensively with a huge first down carry up to the 46-yard line.
Samuel starting at that running back position. JSU with not much success lately running the football, but they certainly had a lot of success on that first play.
First down, Cooper gets rid of it quickly, and he's got his receiver. That is one of the new receivers starting this season, Logan McVeigh, the 5'10 redshirt junior from Demopolis, and it'll be another first down for the Gamecocks. Good
protection, good timing on the play, nice pickup. JSU moves into Mercer territory.
Gamecocks operate without a huddle. First down at the Mercer 44. Cooper gets rid of it quickly again and connects with Ty Wyndham. Or Landon Rice, correction. That is a redshirt senior tight end. You may recall Rice transferred in from Auburn a couple of years ago, dealt with injury last season. But I tell you, Jacksonville State is in good shape with Rice and Trey Berry at the tight end spot. There's a look at the impact players, and Trey Berry there on your screen along with Uriah West and Richie Coffey and Luke Ward for the Mercer Bears. It's second down and 4. Russell in motion. Cooper hits him, and a great defensive play out at the 41-yard line by the Bears, Joel Gertman Jr., but he may have celebrated a little too much. The flag comes in after the play.
Well, I tell you, make a great play like there, right there, and then we'll see what the call is.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, taunting, defense number 37, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. down.
Boy, that is a terrible mistake after making such a good play defensively there, beating the block of the wide receiver, making the tackle for a loss, and then you just show off and cost you 15 yards. Results in a big play for the Gamecocks and first down inside the 30-yard line.
Here we see it again. Again, a great play, then the penalty, and Coach Cronick will not be happy about that at all. Cooper on a quarterback keeper, and he is taken down by a host of Mercer defenders at about the 21-yard line, but call it a 5-yard gain for Cooper on first down.
Yeah, you gotta like it if you're a Gamecock fan, the fact that that offensive line is, as of the moment at least, doing a good job getting movement up there. Whether it's pass protection, whether you're handing the ball off to Samuel, or whether Cooper keeps the ball. Right now, everything has been for positive yardage.
Mercer bringing pressure, picked up by the Gamecocks. Cooper drifting left, no one open, now throws at the last minute, passes incomplete. It skipped at about the 2-yard line. The intended receiver was Quan Charleston. He was covered well on the play by Mercer's Michael Campbell.
Boy, Cooper bought a lot of time moving to his left. Really, I think he could have gotten positive yardage had he gone on and taken off with the ball to begin with. I think he had plenty of room to pick up the first down yardage. And then Samuel coming out of the backfield was wide open in the middle of the field. Coop just wasn't able to find him.
3rd down and 5, Jacksonville State. Need to take it to the Mercer 16. Pressure again, Cooper eludes one defender and then will be taken down right at the line of scrimmage for no gain. Good job there by Isaac Dowling, the freshman linebacker. He came on a blitz. Cooper eluded him the first time, but not the second time, so it's 4th down.
Nice job of staying with it defensively that time. The Gamecocks, impressive until they got down inside the 25, and then a couple of plays weren't impressive at all. Got to credit that Bears defense also with that. JSU going to attempt a field goal here.
They'll spot it down at the 28, so it's a 38-yard attempt for Karajic. Gets the kick away, and it is good. So the Gamecocks do score on their first possession with a 38-yard field goal, an injured player down after the field goal. That is Jacksonville State's Josh Wegner. But 11:19 to play in our first quarter. Both teams score early here in this one. Mercer with a 7-3 lead over Jacksonville State. Well, we're less than 5 minutes into this one and already 10 points on the board. Mercer with the special teams touchdown. Jacksonville State on their opening drive, resulting in the 38-yard field goal to get on the scoreboard. Short kick this time taken at the 25-yard line. And so Mercer will have good field position. Good job that time by Al Wooten, spinning out to about the 35. So the Bears will now get it for the first time offensively.
And this should be interesting. They've run a no-huddle wing tee attack. JSU's had to prepare for a lot of different things. Again, Mercer playing their first game of the year under a new coaching staff. JSU kind of guessing as to what exactly they may do.
And the first play is a handoff to the running back. Nice gain that time for Devison. Gain of 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3.
A shift on that first play out of that up position. They shifted to an unbalanced line. JSU did well to stay onside.
2nd down. And on the carry this time, Fred Davis. Not much yardage. Give him a yard to the 43. It's going to set up a 3rd down and 2 now for Mercer.
Boy, I tell you, you can already see all of the misdirection that's taking place. Mickey, if you were watching up front on that, 2 linemen pulled to the left. The run ended up coming back to the right, trying to get those defensive guys to follow them and then run back from the area that they vacated. A lot of misdirection on this offense.
See what they go with on 3rd and 2. Davis in motion. The fake. Frost rolling out. Got a receiver open in the flat. It's a first down. Inside Gamecock territory goes Brandon Marshall, one of the starting jokers for the Bears. And so first down for Mercer at the Gamecock 44.
Well executed play, great plan on the play, come off the play fake, got your joker back that's come from the opposite side of the field. Nobody followed him across, wide open in the flats, easy first down conversion. Again,
a lot of no huddle, as you said, wing T misdirection type of offensive scheme for Coach Cronick in his first season. And there you see Harrison Frost, the 6'1", 195-pound junior, the starting quarterback for Mercer coming into this season. Handoff. That is Wooten on his first carry from scrimmage. Picks up 4 yards to the Gamecock 40.
Another thing that has to be beneficial for the Bears is how long they've had to implement all of the new things that a new coaching staff has put in. And at least up to this moment, it looked like they're executing it very, very well.
2nd down and 6. And to give that time to McKee. And patient running that time. And a correction, that was Brandon Marshall on the carry. Picks up yardage to the 36. So another 3rd and 2 for Mercer. Went with the short pass on 3rd and 2 a moment ago. Let's see what they dial up here on 3rd and 2. The handoff to Devison. He pounds in there. He's got the first down. The pile moves forward inside the 33. And so, Butch, I tell you, a good execution here early on offensively for the Bears.
Yeah, no misdirection on that one, though.
Not at you.
No, you just line it up and run it straight at him. Devison, 230-plus pounds back there. Not real tall, but a lot of power in that body.
So 1st and 10, Bears at the Gamecock 32. There's a pre-snap shift. Frost, screen pass out to Devison. And he advances the football to the 26 for a gain of 5.
Tyree with only 15 receptions last year, but as you can see, a very effective receiver out of the backfield. Good pickup on first down for the Bears.
And you can't say how much returning the opening kickoff for a touchdown does for your confidence, especially when you're the visiting team. And you see the impact players offensively, a couple of sophomore receivers in Peterson and Marshall, and then Coleman and Yul Gowdy, 2 key defenders for Jacksonville State. And a nice gain here on 2nd and short. It's going to be another first down. And a good run that time by number 38, Devin Crosby. He is another big, strong-looking back. He was able to turn the corner.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, take a look at this. Look at the point of attack. No penetration whatsoever by the guys in the red jerseys.
Crosby gets it again and picks up yardage down to the 10-yard line, tackled by the Gamecocks' Hudson Petty. I'll tell you, this is a good-looking running back as well. Crosby, a true freshman. They list him at 5'9", 215, but he looks about the same size as the man who just took his place, starter Tyree Devison.
Yeah, both of those guys are low to try to bring down. No question about that.
Quite a 1-2 punch here early.
And a nice drive going for the Bears.
Devison taken off his feet. Nice play that time by Jacksonville State's Colby Fuqua as he came down the line and able to get the back off his feet for a short gain.
Yeah, big play coming up here inside the 10-yard line. 3rd down, about 4. Gamecocks trying to keep him out of the end zone. Already, of course, in field goal position.
Frost hands off to Devison. He's going to pound in there and get the first down. Tackle from behind by Jacksonville State's Chris Hardy. But I tell you, the Mercer offensive line is winning the battle right now on this drive.
Yeah, I agree, Mickey. Again, no penetration whatsoever by the Gamecock. I know with the wing T, you can mess yourself up by getting too much penetration, but simply blown off the ball on that run to pick up the first down yardage.
First carry of the game by DeAndre Johnson, the young man who returned the opening kickoff for the touchdown. He's out of bounds they'll spot him out at the 3, so it'll be 2nd and goal from there. Johnson goes back out of the game.
Johnson not nearly as large as those other 2 running backs, a little more speed. Got the ball down inside the 3.
Frost now checks out of there. Little wildcat with Devison. Takes the snap. Cuts it up inside, and he just did that one on his own. It looked for a moment as though JSU had the play defended. Robert Johnson was there, but Devison gets into the end zone for another touchdown.
Now Tyree planted that foot, broke it back up inside, left the defender grabbing for nothing but air. Initial drive of the season, and the Bears put it in the end zone. Couldn't ask for a much better start other than possibly your defense keeping JSU completely off the board. They did give up the field goal, but quite a start for the Mercer Bears.
Had a couple of 3rd and shorts that they executed. Never got in a 3rd and long situation. Very efficient execution on that first drive, and even the extra point hits the upright, but goes through there. So Mercer extends its lead to 14-3 with 5:14 to play here in the first quarter. Back to Jacksonville after this timeout. And a good look at the crowd in attendance here at Burgess Snowfield. We mentioned this is the only home game for JSU's abbreviated 4-game non-conference fall schedule. So, Butch, that means homecoming has kind of been wrapped in this one today. And then you've got the weather issue going on. Mercer out to a 14-3 lead. It's like, what's going on here with the home folks?
That's a good question, and there's a lot of people in the stands asking that.
And good coverage that time on the kickoff by Mercer.
And that's an excellent kickoff, Mickey. It had some hang time to it and was deep, again, kicking into the wind directly out of the east, which moves from our right to left, looking at the field.
Now, looking at the weather forecast coming into today, the percentage of rain is kind of tapers off about 5, 6 o'clock, so who knows? But right now it's a steady drizzle, and as Butch mentioned, the wind an issue inside Burgess Snowfield. So Gamecocks get it back for the 2nd time, find themselves down 14-3, total opposite from last week in Tallahassee when they got off to a great start. And a rough start here to this possession as Zarek Cooper is sacked on a great play that time by Mercer's Jaden Taylor, the freshman defensive lineman.
Well, I tell you what, the Bears have come in here with some intensity. Opening drive, JSU's offensive line did a great job of handling the defensive front. That time, there was tremendous penetration by that front for the defense. Cooper had nothing he could do with the ball but take the sack. 2nd
down, nice hole up the middle that time for Uriah West, his first carry of the day, the junior running back from Douglasville, Georgia.
Gamecocks probably going to use 3 running backs back there during the game. We saw Samuel first, West now. They'll also use Matthews.
3rd down and 6 here. Trey Berry's in the game.
Big play for the Gamecocks. Don't want to give this thing back. Make your defense get back on the field so quickly.
Cooper back. Swings it out in the flat to West. He's got it. Cuts back at the 27. Nice move by West to retain possession for his offense as he gets the 1st down out across the 35-yard line. That's a situation, Butch. You get it out in the flats to your running back, and then he's got to make a play one-on-one, and he gets it done.
Well, I'm going to tell you, first of all, what an outstanding catch. The ball's on his back hip. He concentrates and brings that ball in. Did not have enough for the 1st down yardage when the initial defender got there, made a cut, lowered his shoulder, picked it up. JSU continues to drive.
Cooper to throw on 1st down. Over the middle, he's got his tight end wide open. Berry inside the Mercer 30. And Trey Berry chasing a record of On that receiving yardage list, career list for JSU, my partner here, Butch Barker, he's on your heels. Did he catch you right there, Butch?
I don't think he got quite enough on that one, but it won't be long until he does. Nice play there, good protection, good read, good throw, good catch, good run. First down, Gamecocks.
I mentioned in the open, Butch Barker, a former All-American tight end here from Jacksonville State. And see, you're third on the list, is that it?
That's it.
Trey Berry nipping at your heels.
Rusty Fuller leads the way right now.
Here is West up the middle, and he picks up about 3 to the 23. And seriously, I know you would be very happy to see him smash that record today as a former Gamecock.
Yeah, I hate that he got injured last year. He would have already broken both mine and Rusty Fuller's record. But yeah, right now I'm actually second, but I won't be for long. Trey Berry's about to move into second, and as I said, will probably overtake all of us. If not in these 4 games in the fall, for sure in the spring.
You know, he was featured in the JSU press conference earlier in the week, talked a lot about how frustrating last season was, missing basically half the season with that serious knee injury. He's worked really hard in the offseason, looking for big things out of Trey Berry this year. They go to the end zone, great coverage back there. The intended receiver was Logan McVeigh. I don't see a flag.
I don't think you're going to get a flag there. It's nice coverage. Both the receiver and the defender had their hands on each other. Had it just been one way, you probably would have seen a flag. It certainly impeded the receiver there on his ability to get to the football. But again, with both of them having their hands on one another, I don't think you're going to see a flag most of the time in that situation.
So here's a 3rd down and 7 for the Gamecocks. They went for the home run on that play. Cooper dropping back over the middle, got his man, first down. McVeigh with a catch at the 13-yard line, a 10-yard gain. That'll move the chains.
Again, good protection, good read by Cooper, but the main thing, McVeigh found the opening in the zone defense. Got in there, sat down in that position, was a big target in there. Cooper puts the ball on the money, and the drive continues. JSU needed to convert there as they trail by 11 here early in the first quarter.
Gamecocks answered the first touchdown with a field goal, trying to answer again here. Trailing 14-3 late first quarter. Cooper passes away, and now some miscommunication there. Jared Scott, the intended receiver, but it was headed right to the defender. I don't think the defender saw it coming his way.
And if he does, that's going to be about a 93-yard interception, pick 6. If he looks up, that's nothing but green in front of it. Well, that was a very, very poor decision there on throwing that one out in the right flats.
2nd down and 10. Cooper hands it off to West. Nowhere to go. He is taken down behind the line of scrimmage by linebacker Zach Hopkins. So a loss of 2.
Now, unfortunately, the Gamecocks just have not shown themselves to be a dominant running football team. Another illustration on that play, when you've got to line up and throw the ball every down, it makes it much more tough to have success doing that, especially when you're behind the chains after the first down play.
3rd down and 12 now. Cooper with 4 receivers. Pressure, and he'll go down. And once again, it's number 58 in there, Jaden Taylor. That is 2 sacks on this possession for the freshman from Durham, North Carolina.
It's some miscommunication on this. Cooper drops back. The pressure is there, but he's looking to get the ball to Trey Berry. Berry never turns around. He's actually open in the middle of the field, but never looks back, so Coop doesn't throw the football, and of course that results in the sack.
And Butch are going to try a field goal from the exact same spot they tried a moment ago. It's a 38-yard attempt from the left hash, but we've got a flag before the snap. Mercer came across, but pointing toward the JSU side, and it looks as though this field goal may get 5 yards longer.
Well, fortunately, the wind is behind the
False start. Kicking team, number 60. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
Drew Myers, our referee today, giving us the call. It is against Jacksonville State. That'll back it up to the 26. So now it will turn into a 43-yard field goal attempt.
Yeah, Josh Wegner went out earlier in the quarter with an injury.
That's the end of the first quarter.
And that'll take us to the end of the first quarter. A great start for the Mercer Bears out of Macon, Georgia. They've come into Jacksonville State, and they have outplayed the Gamecocks here in the first quarter with a 14-3 lead. Back to Burgess Snowfield in just a moment. And we'll begin the second quarter with a 43-yard field goal attempt by Karajic of JSU. It is long enough, and it is good. And I tell you, that the significance of this is he had to kick that one into the wind because when the quarter ended, JSU had the wind at their back. So we were wondering during the break what kind of effect that would have, but Karajic just did get enough leg into that one to.
Yeah, you called that pretty early, partner. You said it's long enough. I wasn't sure about that, but you were correct, right on the money.
But seriously, I think the wind slowed the momentum because that ball had a lot more kick to it, if you will, no pun intended, when it left his foot. But I tell you, there is a lot of wind, and it's going against them right now when they kick this. And but it did have enough to get there, and so Jacksonville State actually with more total yardage in that first quarter, but when you look at consider the kickoff return for the touchdown, Gamecocks have yet to get it into the end zone. They've had to settle for 2 field goals, so despite the edge in total offense, they find themselves still down 14-6 here early second quarter.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, from a coaching standpoint, I would have definitely considered calling a timeout before the end of the quarter, simply so you could have kicked that field goal with the wind behind you. At least JSU was able to convert it and save their timeout. So a smart play by Coach Gross, but that's having a lot of confidence in your kicker that he's able to kick that 43-yarder successfully into the wind.
The Gamecocks clearly not kicking it deep after what happened to start the game. Great coverage that time by Jacksonville State's Jason Jones.
Well, that is an excellent
correction,
job.
Jamius Presley getting down to make the tackle.
Yeah, Presley makes the tackle pretty much right where the receiver gathered the ball in. So the Bears will start at the 30. Neither of these teams have been able to stop one another. The Bears have held the Gamecocks to 2 field goals. Mercer Bears pretty much having their way on offense up to this point.
Very effective with their first series. It'll be interesting to see if the Gamecocks make any adjustments defensively. Mercer drove the ball pretty easily that first possession. And here they're able to get it outside with Fred Davis. And Davis picks up close to 5 yards out to the 34, maybe the 35.
From a scheme standpoint, the Gamecocks were there. Mickey Davis runs through at least 3 tackles there to pick up 5 yards. An exceptional run by Davis to get positive yardage on that play.
And again, they go without a huddle. Frost hands it off to Devison. He gets around the corner easily. They knock the football loose, but fortunately for Mercer, it sails out of bounds. So it'll be a gain of 4, and it'll be a 3rd and 1 coming up for the Bears.
I tell you what, if they take another look at that, I actually thought that ball went out past the chains, but it's going to be 3rd and short. Of course, their previous 2 times in these situations, they've just lined it up and run right at the Gamecocks and had success.
They're 3 for 3 on 3rd downs in the game. It's a 3rd and 1. Devison. I don't think he got it. Second effort. Well, the whistle comes in now, so it's all going to be about the spot.
It looks like the official from the far side is going to mark it past the 40-yard line, which will be enough to move the chains.
Yeah, they're not even going to measure. First down, Mercer, but not by much. We see it again.
Yeah, they started right at the 30-yard line. He got right to the 40-yard line.
Great job by Anthony Nesby of JSU holding his position at the point of attack, the sophomore defensive lineman from Atlanta. But still a first down for Mercer at their own 40. Frost rolling out, under pressure. Just has to get rid of it. Good pressure from the backside for Jacksonville State as DJ Coleman was coming with the heat, as was Colby Fuqua, who had a big interception last week in the game against Florida State.
Again, a lot of things out there that we don't know about Mercer with a new coaching staff in place. All of the things we've learned up to this point have been great for the Bears. Second down and long for the first time. Let's see what they choose to do here.
Hand it off to Johnson, and Johnson taken down from behind. Good pursuit from the backside by Markel Benton, the redshirt junior from Phoenix City, Alabama, making the tackle. It's 3rd down and 8, so this will be the first. They're 4-4 on 3rd downs, Butch, but they've been 1 and 2 yards on those situations. This is their first 3rd and long. Frost takes off, and a flag on the play. Frost is going to be stopped about 2 yards shy of the first down. We'll have to check the flag. Again, our referee today is Drew Myers. There you see him in the white hat. Will give us the call.
Illegal substitution, illegal formation, offense, 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty from previous spot, remains 3rd down.
And there's a look at our entire officiating crew here today that'll be working in these difficult weather conditions this afternoon at Burgess Snowfield.
You know, and this early lead by the Mercer Bears, another positive about that, there's no telling what this weather's about to do. I can see heavy rain out in the distance. It just doesn't happen to be right over Burgess Snowfield right now.
Another reason why Jacksonville State really could use a stop here, because this is the kind of game you don't want to trail by 2 or 3 touchdowns.
No.
Already down by 8 points here in the first half. Frost rolling out, pressure's coming, gets the pass away, and it's incomplete. And again, it's number 23, who we mentioned, who had the big game last week down in Tallahassee. Originally signed with Auburn, did Colby Fuqua, coming to Jacksonville State, and tell you what, he's off to a good start this fall.
And that was a great read by Fuqua from his outside linebacker spot there. If he doesn't get in there and make the decision to rush the passer when he did, that was not a set defensive play for him to do that. The quarterback has all day to try to pick out a receiver.
So Goupel comes on for the first time today for the first punt for Mercer. And a fair catch by Quan Charleston at the 21-yard line. So that's a big stop for this JSU defense. They get it back down, trailing 14-6. We'll return to Burgess Snowfield after this timeout. Back after their defense came up with a stop a moment ago. There you see JSU's record in home openers, and it is quite impressive. Coach John Gross's team, 14-2 since joining the OVC in home openers. Here is the handoff, and hard running that time. First carry of the afternoon for Pat Jackson, the junior from Columbus, Mississippi, as he picks up 6 yards out to the 28.
Jackson ran through a couple of attempted tackles there. Ends up picking up good yardage on first down.
Zion Webb in the game now at quarterback for Jacksonville State. The backup to Zarek Cooper. Webb on the quarterback keep. And he is stopped at the 31. It's going to lead the Gamecocks into 3rd and 1. Webb banged up on the play. Like Zarek Cooper is going to have to check right back in, as Webb will limp off, favoring that left leg. Unable to put any weight on it. Not a good sign for the Gamecocks with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, and there was nothing wrong with Cooper on that. That was just designed by Coach Gross to get Webb into the ball game.
Boy, I tell you, when you get rolled up in those piles, that's where a lot of injuries occur.
Yeah, that lower leg. Don't want to speculate, but certainly hope that's not severe.
Big play here, 3rd and 1. Here comes the run blitz. Jackson with a hole on the left side gets enough for the first down. He was upended by the Bears' TJ Moore, but not before he picked up the first down. I tell you, Jackson, a 5'9", 220-pound running back, runs with a lot of power.
If he's able to make one more defender miss, and give the defender credit for making that tackle, if he doesn't make that one, Jackson's in open field, and it's a race to the end zone.
Both teams already playing multiple running backs here in the game today. 1st and 10, Cooper to throw. Goes deep. And it is incomplete down at the 30, but a flag is going to come in. They're going to get interference against Richie Coffey, the sophomore safety. He was defending against Jacksonville State's Ahmad Edwards.
And he had perfect position, Mickey.
Pass interference. Defense number 5. Automatic first down.
If you take a look at this, the defender
Correct.
is...
The foul is on number 20. Number 20.
He's in perfect position. He puts that left hand up to knock it away, but he had the right hand wrapped around the waist of the receiver. Officials see that. They're throwing that flag every time.
Ironically, I think the ball was kind of poorly thrown, which
was coming back toward him.
So it caused the contact and created the interference. If Coop puts that out a little bit more, it's probably a touchdown. Instead, it's a penalty and a 1st and 10 at the 48.
Playing defensive back is such a difficult job, and he did it so well, but didn't trust how well he had done it, and then you kind of grab there, because if you don't, like you said, and they completed it, ends up being 6.
Jackson, another good carry that time, taken down by Michael Campbell. Gain of 7 yards. 2nd down and 3 now for the Gamecocks at the Mercer 45. This is a huge series here for Jacksonville State. Cooper fakes, little wheel route. He's got Trey Berry. Is he inbounds though? He was juggling as he went out. The official's going to say it's a catch at the Mercer 25.
Absolutely perfectly thrown ball by Zarek Cooper. You got a big target out there in Trey Berry. The guy's 6'7", but take a look where Cooper puts that. Perfectly thrown. All you got to have is one down with possession. Trey Berry does that. The Gamecocks move the chains.
And they move in a hurry. That is Zarek Cooper.
They moved well before the people carrying the chains got them set up on the sideline. But a good gain on 1st down for the Gamecocks.
Cooper with 6 yards on the carry, just inside the Mercer 20. 2nd down and a long 4 coming up for the Gamecocks.
This is where that defense has stiffened up to this point.
Cooper on another keep. And he pulls his way into the end zone. A flag comes in, though. We'll see if the touchdown stands.
Well, that is an exceptional run by Cooper. He was not going to be denied, but from some of the expressions I'm seeing on the guys in red out there, it looks like the penalty is going to go against Jacksonville State.
Holding, offense, number 4. 10-yard penalty from the spot foul, remains 2nd.
Boy, that does not take away from the effort of Zarek Cooper getting that ball in the end zone.
And that'll be a spot foul, so it won't be as bad as it would typically seem if it was penalized from the line of scrimmage. However, it obviously takes the points off the board, but I'm not sure. As you see there, Coach Gross and his outstanding record here at Jacksonville State, best 77 start ever, but I'm not even sure the block by Berry was even needed at that point.
No, you're exactly right.
That's what's frustrating if you're a JSU fan. So it's 2nd down and 1 is the net result after the penalty yardage. Jackson, he'll have the 1st down inside the 15. So Gamecocks will have a new set of downs. And let's take another look at it here. There's Berry blocking. Well, I don't know. Maybe the guy, his guy could have gotten off and made the play.
It came
in live action, it didn't look relevant, but on the replay it did.
Well, the flag just came in so late. I mean, if you watch when the flag was thrown, Berry is literally all the way in the end zone. The time that we think that he was holding possibly was out about the 10-yard line. why are you going to wait till he's in the end zone before you throw that? That made it a little bit more difficult to accept.
How about the physical play by Cooper at the goal line, just running over the defender. Slant pass, it's intercepted in the end zone, but a flag comes in. So we may have another pass interference call. It was intended for Charleston. It was one-on-one coverage with the Mercer defender in the end zone.
Boy, I tell you what,
pass interference, defense number 3. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
Safety Lance Wise with the penalty.
You never want this to be the case, but there's been 3 plays on this drive where the officials have played a huge part.
I think that's a good call. He turned the receiver around with that off arm. But it was tight coverage, one-on-one. There was no safety help.
No, and it's a great job of getting that left arm in. It's just twice now that they've been called for putting that right arm on the receiver's hip.
First and goal. Jackson dives. Does he break the plane? Yes. Touchdown, Jacksonville State, and Pat Jackson played such an important role in that series. It's fitting that this young man gets the touchdown, the junior from Columbus, Mississippi.
Early in the ball game, you trail by 2. You going for 2 here? You going to kick it? Looks like the Gamecocks are just going to go for the 1. Up and over for the touchdown.
Clearly breaking the plane. So they'll go for the extra point. Of course, any kick in this weather today will be an adventure, but the extra point is good. So the Gamecocks pull to within a point, 14-13, 8:27 to play here in our second quarter. We're back to Burgess Snow Field after this timeout. And there you see the score midway through the second quarter in Jacksonville. The Gamecocks get their first touchdown of the day to go with a couple of field goals. They pulled to within a single point of the Mercer Bears here in the Gamecocks' only home game this fall. And the kickoff, another short kick that will bounce out of bounds and will give Mercer very good field position after the penalty. We'll take another look at the touchdown. Pat Jackson, I tell you, we talking during the break, very impressed with this young man.
Jacksonville State. The ball be placed at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, he's made some good decisions and runs the ball very, very hard. Actually, the first time I've seen him play. Mickey, I'm going back to the last possession by the Bears. They've been moving the football all day long, averaging good pickup, positive yardage on first down. Had a couple of first downs, and then on first down they tried to pass. It was incomplete, and everything went downhill from there. See if they get back to running the ball, which they are, on first down. And again, positive yardage, pickup of about 4.5 on the play.
And you know, the oddity of statistically speaking, the Gamecocks really dominating offensively, 161 yards of total offense to Mercer's 77. Most of their total offense came on their first series. Of course, they had the kickoff return for the touchdown. So I agree with you. I think they need to get back to running the ball, trying to control the clock, keep their defense off the field a little bit, because the Gamecock offense, they've really been able to move the ball. They just had to settle for those 2 first quarter field goals. So a couple of yards here on this carry, so it'll bring up a 3rd down and 3. And Mercer was so good on 3rd down in that first quarter.
Yeah, the first time they were in this situation, they used a little play action pass. They're so effective running the ball that you can see why that would be something really difficult to defend for the Gamecocks. Interesting to watch what they choose to do here on 3rd and 3.
Frost rolling out and has to just throw it away. The play was intended for Brandon Marshall. He says he was held, and Frost is making his case with the official as well. That is the exact same play they used on their first 3rd and 2 in the first quarter that worked so well, but it doesn't work here.
Well, watch what happens. He gets kind of grabbed and thrown to the ground. I mean, look, that's not one where you tackled him. You don't know if that guy's coming to block you or not. I can understand it from both sides. If you're the offense, you want to call there. If you're the defense, you're going, hey, that guy's just defending himself. He didn't know if he was coming to block. So you can understand it from both sides.
Oh, and the ball slips through the punter's hands, and it's partially blocked by the Gamecocks. They're going to get outstanding field position at the Mercer 42. Go back to what I said a moment ago. Any special teams play in these weather conditions, you got to be really alert, and ball security is going to play a huge role in this game. So we're starting to see it now here.
And it's going to get worse. It's raining more now than it had been, but it's going to get worse as this game goes on. First big play, because of the weather, happens to Jacksonville State's advantage.
So a short field for the Gamecocks. We'll see if they can take advantage as they'll start this drive from the Mercer 41, and new running back in for the Gamecocks, Michael Matthews. Be the fourth running back the Gamecocks have used here in this first half.
First time Matthews has been in the game.
Matthews right up the middle and pulls his way inside the 35 for a gain of 7, maybe 8 yards on his first carry of the afternoon.
I'm going to tell you, there's 4 running backs the JSU football team is using, and I think these guys are motivating one another to run hard, because if not, you're not going to get any PT. I mean, you've got to get out there and perform, or you're not going to get in the football game as well as other guys are performing right now.
And being able to run the ball for the rest of the game in these weather conditions will probably determine a lot of who wins this game. Matthews slams in there again, second carry, picks up only about a yard that time. It'll set up 3rd and 2 for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, and Mercer kind of sensing that, kind of had a run blitz on coming from the outside that time. Not a lot of movement at the point of attack. I think you're in 4-down territory here. I don't think you try a long field goal because of the wind situation with it being right in your face. But 3rd down and short, if you get any of this on this play, I think you'd see the Gamecocks go for it on 4th down.
Another blitz coming. Cooper rolls away from it, gets the pass away. It is incomplete. It was intended for Jared Scott. It was great coverage that time, however, by LaDerrick Johnson, the redshirt freshman corner out of Jackson, Georgia. So it will be 4th and 3, so we'll see if the Gamecocks go for it.
Yeah, I think they will. I actually thought they might run the ball in that situation. Again, if you picked up any of it, if it's 4th and short, and you can see on the screen now, you can actually see the rain. So it has picked up here and not supposed to get any better for the duration of this contest.
Good look at the sky above Burgess Snowfield. It is getting dark and dreary here in Jacksonville this afternoon. Again, the hurricane hitting the Gulf Coast.
Mercer, their first of the half.
Coming ashore yesterday, and the effects of that hurricane as it comes inland being felt this afternoon here in Jacksonville, Alabama. Timeout Mercer on this before the 4th and 3 play. 5:59 to play in our first half. We'll take the break and return to Jacksonville in just a moment.
Sure.
And back in Jacksonville, 14-13, a good one here late in the first half. We resume play, 4th and 3. As AC a stat for first-time opponents for Mercer. They're on the road here playing Jacksonville State in football for the first time ever. These two teams have played in many sports from their Atlantic Sun Conference days, but they've never met in football till today. And a good one brewing here in Jacksonville, and a huge conversion on 4th and 3 as Cooper connects with Logan McVeigh. And the Gamecocks maintain possession. It's a first down.
What a great grab by McVeigh. This was not thrown where it was easy to catch and under these conditions, but a huge catch there by McVeigh. Moves the chains, and the drive continues for the Gamecocks.
3rd catch of the day for McVeigh. Matthews lost it on the handoff, but I don't know. There's a battle for it. I thought Matthews got back on it, but the defender came in there and went for it as well. And again, just a simple handoff is an issue in these type of conditions.
I'd like to see that exchange. Let's take a look. If Matthews got the pocket right, oh, it comes out immediately. I still couldn't even tell without probably slow motion whether the ball was put in his belly, but that ball hit the ground immediately, able to get back on it. There was a nice gap there provided by that offensive line. A loss of 2, though, because of the bad exchange between quarterback and running back.
Mercer's Ken Stanley almost got it away from Matthews, but Matthews able to hold on. So back in the game now for the first time in a while, Josh Samuel. He started the game at running back, and he picks up about 3 yards. So it'll be 3rd down and 9 for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, 3rd and long. Difficult to convert, but a huge play in this contest because you're right on the verge of being out of field goal range in this wind and rain.
Trey Berry back in the game, motions to the left. Cooper takes the snap, gets the pass over the middle to Berry, makes the grab at the 16, and it is very close to a 1st down. I think they got it. Trey Berry with his 3rd catch of the day, and this one will move the chains.
Big target in Berry, good throw by Cooper, and he just got enough for the 1st down. Big play for the Gamecock. Well defended, but well executed by the JSU Gamecock.
Now, how big would this be to go in and score right here in the 1st half?
Huge with the weather
when you've
going
trailed
to
the
get
whole
bad.
game, when you've trailed the whole 1st half so far. Samuel on the handoff, and look at the surge of that offensive line. Good push that time, and Samuel able to gain 5, maybe 6 yards on the play.
Much better job by that Gamecock offensive line, as you mentioned, Mickey, in comparison to what we saw last season. Much, much better job in the movement that they're getting up there. Good hard running by all 4 of these running backs. And you've got to think, as long as Mercer's defense has been on the field, they've got to be getting a little bit fatigued. Remember, this is their 1st game of the year.
2nd down and 5. Gamecocks can get a 1st down at the 5. Samuel, big hole, cuts it up inside. He's down to the 2. It'll be a 1st and goal, Jacksonville State. And the Gamecocks in business as we go under 3 minutes to play 1st half.
Well, I mentioned it in the opening. One thing you don't have to worry about with artificial turf is the field being slippery. You can still make those good cuts. Good job hanging on to the football. Excellent job by the offensive line, body on body. Picked up good yardage, 1st and goal inside the 3-yard line. Again, I've got to think the Mercer defensive line especially has got to be getting a little bit tired.
1st and goal for the Gamecocks. They give it to Samuel again, right up the middle, and he is marked just short.
But give Samuel credit. What a move he made to make that 1st defender miss. What's the penetration here? You've got a defender that comes up in there. Samuel makes a nice move to avoid him and gets down inside the 1-yard line, and I think that's a good call by the officials. I think when his knee went down, the ball was short of the goal line.
We go under 2 minutes to play 1st half. 2nd down and goal from.
You'll have to hurry here. Play clock's under 5.
And Cooper goes airborne for the touchdown.
All right, need to mark this down. Under 2 minutes to play in the 1st half. Everything has gone Mercer's way to open this ball game until the ball slips through the punter's hands. JSU takes advantage, gets it in the end zone, and gets their 1st lead of the ball game. How does this team react? We'll see that after this extra point when JSU kicks the ball back off.
And again, conditions like today, you can't take anything for granted, including extra points. As you see there, it hits the upright, but it bangs through. So Jacksonville State has trailed the entire 1st half until now. They take the lead at the 1:41 mark of the 1st half. Gamecocks with the lead 2014. You're watching college football from Jacksonville on ESPN3. So Jacksonville State takes advantage of the miscue on the punt by Mercer late in the 2nd quarter. They go 42 yards in 11 plays, and maybe more importantly, they use 5.5 minutes of the clock, and they get the touchdown, get their 1st lead of the afternoon as this kick is on the ground, and let's see. I think Mercer may have gotten it back. Jacksonville State had it, but it slipped out, and we'll see as they pile the players. It's Jacksonville State football. The Gamecocks did indeed recover.
It was whoever fought for it the hardest underneath that pile, because the officials had no idea initially who got on the football.
Still not letting it go. And there you see JSU's Markel Benton. So what another miscue by Mercer. And again, these field conditions are just horrendous, and the Gamecocks have an opportunity here with 1:37 to play here before halftime. Need to pass along a couple of statistical points of interest. Trey Berry now has 3 catches for 68 yards in the game. He has passed my partner Butch Barker for second in all-time receiving yards as a tight end at Jacksonville State. And by the way, Zarek Cooper is now second all-time in passing, as he has moved past JSU legendary quarterback Ed Lett. So a couple of statistical notes of interest here late in the first half of this one.
And congratulations to both of those guys. Coop will end up setting the record for most passing yards and most touchdowns passing if he comes back in the spring. He may do it in the 4 games that JSU plays this fall.
Now, what do you make of the Gamecock strategy here? Obviously, you've got the lead now. You're close to halftime. You're going against the wind. Do you take a chance and throw the ball here?
You do. You are only up by 6. Good read.
Oh, nice decision. Cooper inside the 10. Gets down to the 7. Zarek Cooper heads up play that time, giving the Gamecocks a 1st and goal with just under a minute to play before the half.
Look, that was a great decision, a good run, but I sure would have liked to see Cooper run that football at the end like he did when he tried to get into the end zone. He went down there pretty easily. I'd like to see him picked up another 4 or 5 yards the way he did when he drove it into the end zone. But again, a great decision. Protect the football in these conditions. Now you're in a position where you feel like your field goal kicker could be successful. You need to get more than a 6-point lead. It's huge for that other team when they go into their locker room and they're only down by a touchdown and an extra point, and all of a sudden they're ahead.
And Jacksonville State won the toss. They deferred, so they'll get the ball to start the second half. They've dominated the game statistically. They've more than doubled Mercer in total yardage. If they score here and then get the ball to start the second half, you talk about a huge shift in momentum in this football game. And you pointed out during the break a moment ago, when they had the miscue on the punt that gave Jacksonville State the short field, things have really, momentum's definitely wearing the red jersey right now.
It flipped everything. I mean, I can even go back to passing on 1st down when they had not done that a single time during the game, and it had so much success rushing the football.
Here's the handoff to West, who's back in the game on this series. Not much that time. Good defensive play by the Mercer front as number 54, Ken Stanley, in on the tackle from his linebacker position.
Gamecocks use their second timeout, 1 remaining here prior to halftime. 45 seconds on the game clock. Yeah, Mickey, the momentum would simply be huge if the Gamecocks can put any points on the board. Again, a key factor that we both mentioned, the weather is going to do nothing but get worse.
And when you look at the flag on the other end of the stadium, it is just whipping with the wind. The wind is extremely strong down on the field right now, and it'll die down for a moment, and it just kicks back up. And there you see a look at what the conditions are like wind-wise in this game here in the first half. It's been that way the entire time. So if JSU winds up trying a field goal, they're going to be kicking into that strong wind, that stiff wind.
Well, you've seen 2 extra point attempts have ended up hitting the uprights. Both of them have gone in, 1 for each team.
Gamecocks hope they can get it in the end zone. 2nd down and 9 just inside the 10. 45 seconds to play here in the half. Cooper pumps, looks. He's got some room. If he wants to run it, he's got a clear path to the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville State. He got a great block from his running back, Uriah West, which cleared the way for him to get to the end zone.
Boy, that is great effort by West, understanding that his quarterback had an open path. If he makes a block, made that block, Cooper's able to ease into the end zone. Momentum with the Gamecocks at this point.
And the extra point attempt coming up from Karajic. Oh snap, good job that time by the JSU holder, Preston Knight. Outstanding job, and the extra point is good, making it a 27-14 lead now for the Gamecocks. Another look at the touchdown.
An outstanding job again. Take a look. West with a good block there. Open path for Cooper. What a turnaround. Last two possessions for the Gamecocks. They take advantage of two turnovers, put 14 points on the board.
They were down 14-3 at one point, and they have scored 24 unanswered.
Both off of turnovers.
And now again with the Gamecocks receiving the second half kickoff, things have really turned in JSU's favor.
You would have to think that the Mercer Bears, when they come out the second half, are going to be on the same end of the field that they are now, because you want that wind at your back as you're trying to play catch up here. Maybe too late by the fourth quarter, but the wind and the rain are definitely going to come into play for the remainder of this football game.
And Bryant Wallace in to kick. And a high kick that will go out of bounds. Second time the Gamecocks have been penalized on kickoffs.
Kick out of bounds. Kicking team number 26. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down, Mercer.
So Mercer will have it after the penalty on the kickoff, first down at the 35. And there's a look at the total yardage we've been referencing. 230 yards of total offense for JSU. Most of Mercer's total yardage came on their first offensive possession. They've really been unable to mount anything since then. They looked so good, so efficient on their first series.
Interesting to see what they try to do here. Wind behind them, good field position.
Fred Davis is pushed out of bounds on the far side by Markel Benton.
2 timeouts remaining. Do you go for something to try to get down and get a field goal here with the wind behind you? I would say yes, trailing by 13. We'll see what they call on this play. You got man-to-man coverage out here wide.
Frost back to throw. He's only attempted 5 passes today, and this one is nearly intercepted as Jacksonville State's Casey Grigley cut in front of the pass.
Well, I don't know if you were able to see it, Mickey, but the wideout, who had a lot of room out here, fell as he came off the line of scrimmage. So he's no longer in the route. You'll see he's way back here at the line of scrimmage almost. So you've got 5 guys in red defending against 1 receiver in that area.
Correction, that was Stevante Tullis cutting in front of the pass. 3rd down and 4 for Mercer. And nothing doing for the running back. JSU with great penetration that time. It's going to be 4th down and 4 as Tyree Devizon had nowhere to go.
Timeout, Jacksonville State.
JSU just wants to make them punt, because that means you got to snap that ball back there again. But you could see, look, I know that there was no success on that play, but you could see the strength of Tyree as he forced his way up in there to get some of that yardage back on that 3rd down run. coming out at the second half. When JSU gets the football to open the half, what they're able to do there. If they can put any points whatsoever on the board and go ahead by 2 scores, it's going to be really difficult to overcome. If they kick a field goal, I mean, you'll be up by 16, right? If you kick the field goal. So take 2 touchdowns and 2 extra 2-point conversions to get back in it. So really big opening of the second half as these teams come out of their locker rooms. And I would not put anybody back. JSU sending a guy back to catch a football. I would not catch a football in this situation.
Charleston going back to receive the punt. Grant Goupel standing at his 27.
The only thing that could happen bad for JSU is you mishandle this.
And they execute the punt. Charleston calls for the fair catch at the 19. So the Gamecocks will have it 1st and 10 at the 19 with 11 seconds to play here in the first half. By the way, coming up at halftime, got a special interview with JSU Director of Athletics, Greg Sykes. He'll talk to us about how the pandemic affected Jacksonville State this year, and of course all of college football, the OVC specifically, the Ohio Valley Conference electing to move their conference games to the spring. That schedule was announced yesterday. We will talk in depth with Greg Sykes about that and more coming up at halftime, an interview that you don't want to miss. So that'll take us to the end of the first half as the Gamecocks take a knee and they head to the locker room with a 27-14 lead. A huge second quarter for the Gamecocks. And Mercer will go in and look to regroup under first-year head coach Nick Cronick. Teams will go in and look for a towel and dry off, Butch.
Yeah, I'm not sure they make a towel that big.
We'll take a break and return with more as you're watching college football from Jacksonville here on ESPN3.
Maybe Thursday night.
And welcome back to Jacksonville. You're watching college football here on ESPN3. Mickey Shadricks and Butch Barker with you at halftime. Jacksonville State with a huge second quarter to lead Mercer 27-14 here at the half. And I tell you, some fireworks right away in this one, Butch Barker, as DeAndre Johnson returned the opening kickoff of the game for a touchdown.
Yeah, again, what a start for the Mercer Bears.
Meanwhile, Jacksonville State, they had a good, productive first quarter as well. They just had to settle for a couple of first quarter field goals. Meanwhile, here, as Tyree Devazon got into the end zone for a Mercer touchdown, they had a 14-3 lead. Things were going well. Their defense was playing well, and then all of a sudden, Jacksonville State got things going in that second quarter.
Yeah, the biggie were the 2 turnovers. JSU capitalized on both of those, scoring touchdowns. Go from that 14-3 deficit to a 27-14 lead. Huge turnaround, again, off of those turnovers.
And you see Jackson get into the end zone, and that's the key play there.
Yep, there's the biggie. Ball just went through the punter's hands. But the big thing for the Gamecocks is they came in and took advantage, scored 2 touchdowns, and took the lead as we go to the half.
Scored the touchdown and got it right back on the kickoff. And
that was Barry picking up the first down to keep the drive alive.
And then Cooper, good decision here, gets it into the end zone. Jacksonville State extending their lead there. Then a near pick that time, the final series of the first half. And as we mentioned, Jacksonville State won the toss deferred, so they'll get the ball to start the second half. When we come back, JSU Director of Athletics Greg Sykes will join us in the booth. Stay with us. And times during the dinner, he leaned over in his ear and said, "I want to win." And he said after the third time, he said, "I think this president's serious about his football here." So there is a lot of excitement around the Mercer football program. And anytime you have a change, it's going to it's going to take time. They knew that this would be a test coming in here against Jacksonville State, who's been one of the top teams in FCS for the last several years. But I do think they clearly have an accomplished, good football coach.
I think they do too, a very good football coach. He's proven himself everywhere that he's been, and there's nothing that I've seen his team do, with the exception of the one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that hurt them early on in the ball game. That's the only thing that I've seen that in any way was a detriment to this football team. Turnovers are going to happen. You hate it, but you know, those aren't coaching type situations. When it's not a decision that you make, a poor decision that results in it. I've seen nothing but good things from this football team, and think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future under his guidance.
And I'm sure that they talked about at halftime how important this first series is.
And it's huge to the outcome of this ball game. If Jacksonville State can extend their lead here, it's going to put the Mercer Bears in a deficit that I think would just be difficult to overcome, especially with a team that that passing the ball is not their forte.
First down give is to Patrick, and he fights for a couple of yards out to the 27. Good defensive play that time on first down by the Mercer defense.
Yeah, just not a lot of room there. Patrick did all he could to pick up a yard on that play. Again, this is a huge drive for both of these teams in determining the outcome of this ball game.
Second down and 9. They give it to Patrick again, right up the gut. First down yardage, big hole created by his offensive line. And Patrick was impressive in his limited playing time in that first half.
Yeah, good job by Patrick, but you said it, Mickey. That offensive line opened up a gaping hole that time at right guard and right tackle.
And they give it to Patrick, third straight carry. And he cuts it outside, cuts it up, and he's into Mercer territory. And I think I see why Coach Gross elected to give this young man the start here in the second half, because he is running just like he did in the first half.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me if they don't substitute somebody in just because of how much effort it took on this run. Gosh, he makes a lot of people miss, runs through some tackles. I think I'd have to give him a breather after that one, but Coach Gross electing to keep him in there.
You mentioned it in the first half, a lot of competition in that running back room for Jacksonville State.
And they all look a lot better this season up to this point to me.
Patrick, nothing doing that time, but credit the defense of Mercer that time as outside linebacker Jordan Williams came in to make the tackle for a 3-yard loss.
And I know Patrick didn't want to come out, but I think he just absolutely gassed. So Samuels comes in for him. And again, great penetration by that defensive front for the Bears on that previous play.
So the negative play creates a 2nd and 13 for the Gamecocks. Cooper lost it. It's loose, and Mercer's on it back at the 47-yard line. First turnover of the game for Jacksonville State.
And a huge one. We talked about the fact that this opening drive was going to go a long way in determining the outcome of the ball game. Mercer not only able to stop the Gamecocks, but take over in Gamecock territory.
And I think that was just a case of the ball just slipped out of Cooper's hands.
You've got to protect it in these kind of conditions.
What a break for Mercer. Can they take advantage with a short field? First down at the Gamecock 48. And they give it to their tailback, Tyree Devison. And he just muscles his way down to the 44 for a gain of 4.
I'm telling you, I would not want to come up and hit that guy. I mean, he's low to the ground. Again, the guy's only about 5'8", but he's 235.
They fake it to him this time. Frost will go for it all. I think he had his arm hit as he was under pressure that time by JSU's Umstead Sanders.
If I'm defensive coordinator for the Gamecocks, they just fooled me, I promise you. They would have been wide open because I would have never expected a play action pass on that play. Had 4 yards gained on the first down. I think you keep running the football. They chose to throw it. Unsuccessful. See what happens here.
Fred Davis. Nice hard running by Davis, staying on his feet. Gets the first down inside the Gamecock 35-yard line.
Well, that makes up for it. If you're able to pick up that much yardage running the ball on third down, then you can afford to take that risk with the play action pass on second down. I don't think in any way that Mercer has to try to score quickly here. They're only down 13. They've had a tremendous amount of success running the football. You take away the turnovers, they're probably leading in this football game, in great position to get back in this game.
Devison right up the middle, and again he just bulls his way down inside the 30. Give him 6 yards on this first down carry.
Looks just like the way the game opened for the Bears when they had their opening possession. They are controlling the line of scrimmage on running play.
Devison now 11 carries, 38 yards. Came in needing just 14 to surpass the 2,000 mark, and he's got it today. Second down and 4. This is Johnson, and Johnson's very close to a first down.
Again, impressive by this offensive line. There's no penetration by the guys in the red jerseys, and all the movement that's taking place is going west, which means they're knocking the Gamecocks off the ball right now.
First and 10 now at the Gamecock 24. Devison cuts it back up and gets it to the 21-yard line, a short gain of 3 that time.
Well defended by Jacksonville State. Had several guys there defensively. Tyree makes the stop and then lowers those shoulder pads in his helmet. Still gets positive yardage on the play.
And they do have the wind at their back if the drive bogs down, but you know they're thinking touchdown here. Devison. Not much daylight that time. Good job by the Gamecocks. A host of defenders there to stuff the play, led by number 91, Chris Hardy, and a flag coming in.
The whistle blew. JSU had the play stopped for no gain, possibly a loss.
Personal foul. Defense number 91. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Mercer had one of these plays in the first quarter that led to JSU getting a field goal. This one, more than likely, is going to lead to points for the Mercer Bears on a mental mistake by one of the Gamecock defenders.
After the penalty, it'll be first and 10 just inside the 11, so Mercer can get a first down just inside the 1. Young man Chris Hardy, the redshirt freshman, had made a good play, but costly penalty. Great defensive play that time by Jacksonville State's DJ Coleman, the preseason All-American, showing why that time as he was able to get to Brandon Marshall and stop him for a 4-yard loss back to the 15. So that really changes things.
It really does, and you mentioned it, Mickey. Mercer definitely wants to get this thing in the end zone, cut that lead to a 1-touchdown lead. Field goal would help, but it doesn't put them in the position they'd like to be in.
Frost back to throw, screen pass, and a great job that time by Coleman again. He may have gotten a hand on it, but if not, he certainly disrupted the play.
He got a hand on it, Mickey, and if he doesn't, this screen is set up. He's got 3 or 4 offensive linemen in front of him. I think the play scores had that ball not been tipped away.
So now 3rd and 14.
DJ Coleman with 2 big plays for that JSU defense.
Frost over the middle, got his man, touchdown Johnson. He was locked up in one-on-one, against Jacksonville State's Darius Joyner, and he just went up and got it.
That's a great job in these kind of weather conditions, going up and high pointing the football. Take a look at it. He goes up, takes this in, gets it with his hands at the highest point. Fights off the defender. That's an exceptional catch and huge for the Bears in getting back in this contest.
And second touchdown of the day for Johnson. He started the game with the kickoff return for the touchdown, and he does an outstanding job on the reception that time. And what a start to the second half for Mercer. 27-21 now our score. Timeout on the field. You're watching college football on ESPN3. And momentum shifting to the Mercer Bears with the start of this second half. They get the turnover from Jacksonville State. They take it 48 yards and get the touchdown. And they've cut the JSU lead to 6, 27-21. Gamecocks with a kickoff return here. Yule Gowdy with a good return out near the 40 before he goes out of bounds. And it was the kicker, Devin Folser, that had to come up and make the tackle.
Gowdy with an exceptional kickoff return there. It didn't look like there was anything in the middle. He jumped out to the outside and able to race down the sideline, set the Gamecocks up with excellent field position at their 40. And they really need to answer that score by the Mercer Bears. The Bears with all the momentum here in the second half after that scoring drive.
So let's see how the Gamecocks respond. Matthews is in there at running back now, and he is stuffed at the 42-yard line after a short gain. First man there defensively for Mercer was linebacker Isaac Dowling, the true freshman from Lawrenceville, Georgia. And speaking of a true freshman, this is as young a football team as you will see. There is less than 10 seniors on this entire Mercer roster, and you says that's not a big surprise when a new coach comes to town, though, right?
No, not a lot of times it's not. But again, watch this team in the future. I'm telling you, not that they may not win this ball game today, but you better keep an eye on this bunch.
And Cooper really had to just get rid of that one. The intended receiver was Ahmad Edwards, but he was bracketed good coverage that time, including cornerback Michael Campbell there. So it'll be 3rd down and 8. So a big possession play here now for both of these teams at the 42-yard line. Mercer would love to get off the field here in a 3-and-out and get the ball back.
Crucial play here. Mercer with all the momentum. They come up with a stop here and get this football back. Watch out, Gamecocks.
JSU needs to hit midfield to get a first down. Here comes the blitz. They send 6. Cooper's pass is away, but it is defended very well. And they'll spot the receiver down at the 46. Great defensive play by Campbell once again as he was defending against Ahmad Edwards. So it'll be 4th and 4. So Butch, the Mercer defense, does the job. They get the 3-and-out.
Yeah, and I'm worried if I'm in the JSU press box right now. I have got to mention Michael Matthews picking up that blitz that time. Boy, you talk about a running back stepping up and taking on the linebacker coming on the blitz. Great job by Matthews.
First punt of the day for the Gamecocks. Mercer comes after it. And a good job by Preston Knight to get it out of there. So the rain is really picking up now, and Mercer will have it 1st down and 10 at their 19-yard line. You know, the forecast, for what it's worth, shows the rain really tapers off at about 5 or 6 o'clock, which will obviously would be in the 4th quarter if the game is still going. So, but you never know. I mean, you're dealing with all types of weather issues, tornado watches in the area, and of course the rain is coming down. I think now it's hard to just come down all day.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. And the wind's changed direction. It's been out of the east all day. Now it's coming out of the west.
And of course they keep it on the ground. And I tell you, with this kind of rain, you have no choice. All you can do is just hope you get the snap and hand it off and just run the football. Can you imagine, like right now, trying to punt in this weather?
No, and that's if the Gamecocks can come up with a a stop here where they make Mercer punt the ball. I'm not putting anybody back there to try to catch it. The wind is swirling, the rain is coming down in buckets.
We can hardly see the field. Frost hands it off to Devison, and Devison fights forward, and he's going to be very close to a first down. And boy, you talk about an important first down for Mercer. If you can just get a first down in this weather and hope this rain lets up, and he does get the first down.
I tell you, I've got to go to some kind of run-stop defense here because, like you say, I cannot imagine trying to complete a pass in this kind of condition.
You know, looking down at some of the fans with rain jackets on, the jackets are just standing up. The wind is just, we got rain going in different directions as we look out across Burgess Snow Field here.
Just the fact that we can see the sheets of rain is pretty amazing. I don't know that I've been here when it was this type of weather conditions.
Devison gets the ball, gets 4, and I tell you, I'd be happy with that if I were Coach Cronny.
All the way down the field.
Devison checks out now, however, and checking into the game at running back is Al Wooten, the freshman. They don't give up much size when Wooten comes in, 6 foot 220. Second down and 6. And they hand it off to Johnson. And Johnson cuts up between the tackles and picks up about 3 near the 38. So that's going to set up another third down. And Mercer is 4 for 8 on third downs in the game. This is 3rd and 2.
And Mickey, we talked about this during one of the breaks. I don't know, but I wouldn't become a 4-down team and just rush the football with the success that the Bears are having and see if the Gamecocks can stop them.
Devison is back in there, and they give it to him, and he's got the first down and more. He gets up near midfield. They'll spot him just across the JSU side of the 50. So it'll be another first down for Mercer, and now the rain has let up just a little. So I think Mercer dodged a big bullet here, not having to punt the football during that rain.
No, you're right there. And again, it's amazing to me that the wind has completely shifted with the flag now blowing from west to east, where the entire beginning of the ball game, it's been out of the east.
I tell you, you mentioned this in the first half. I wouldn't want any part of seeing number 34 coming at me.
You
I
know,
mean, he looks like he's getting stronger as the game goes.
Yeah, and I started to call him a tank, but he's so much faster than any tank I've ever seen. This guy is a load.
Devin Crosby now spells him, and again, another good-looking, big, strong freshman coming in there at running back now. Second down and 6. He goes in motion. They hand it off this way. That's Davis, and a good defensive play by Nicario Harper as he stepped up and made the stop for a short gain. So it'll be third down and 4.
Boy, Harper came in from his safety position and just stopped the running back in his tracks. I think Harper's paying for it a little bit right this second. But what a great tackle that young man made.
Are we in 4-down territory here?
I think so.
Devison back in the game, and this time there was just too much penetration. The Gamecocks coming with the run blitz that time. They had every hole filled that time, and Devison actually lost a yard. So now it's 4th and 5 at the Gamecock 44.
Defensively took a chance that time, brought the run blitz, shut them down. They actually lost a yard, maybe 2 yards on the play. Because of that, Mercer's going to punt. Mickey, I think if it had been 3 or less, they would have gone for it.
And again, the rain has let up now, so.
Still punting into the teeth of that wind. I'm still real reluctant to catch this football. He's down.
Oh, snap, and he's down. So again, an issue on the punt team for Mercer as the snap never got there.
That thing was way off to the side. I think you'd have had difficulty fielding it had he tried to bend and catch it. He dove to knock it down. The downside to that, as you take a look at it here, is when he catches it and he's down, he's down. So JSU will take over at that point with great field position and another chance to extend the lead here.
And what's ironic is the first short field they got on a punt miscue was 41 yards. This is 42, basically the same place on the field.
And see if they can capitalize again.
And now all of a sudden the rain is just about stopped for the moment. Back in the game and running back now is Samuel. Picks up a couple of yards to the 40.
JSU's offensive line, this is where they've got to step up. Extend this lead if they can get this running game working. Samuel taking tape off of his hand, was able to get all of that off where it shouldn't interfere with his ability to hold on to the football.
Fake this time, Cooper rolling out. Got a man wide open, and he can't make the grab at the 25-yard line is Dave Russell III.
Oh, Russell, 9 out of 10 times comes down with that football. Ball soaking wet. Again, folks, remember that ball is made out of leather. Wet leather is slippery. Look at Scoot right through his hands. You have really got to close that index finger and your thumbs together, or that ball will slip right through it as it did then.
He had some big catches at the Florida State game last Saturday, but a missed opportunity there. 3rd down and 8. Gamecocks possibly in 4-down territory at this point on the field. A whistle and a flag, and we're going to have a penalty against the Gamecocks.
False start. Offense, number 9. 5-yard penalty from previous spot. Remains 3rd down.
Well, that's against Ahmad Edwards, the wide receiver. And I know not only were you a former player, you were a former coach. And it's the old adage that when wide receivers jump off sides early, does that really drive a coach crazy?
It's so simple. You just watch the football. I mean, you're taught that from Pee Wee League. Don't listen to the count. Watch the football.
3rd down and 12 now. Cooper scrambling, and he's going to be sacked back at the 48. A host of Mercer defenders in on the stop, led by number 46, Isaac Dowling, the freshman linebacker from Lawrenceville, Georgia. So what a defensive stand. Matter of fact, 2 defensive stands in a row by this Mercer defense.
Yeah, you got to credit them with that. And again, the Gamecocks, with a couple of opportunities, they get the turnover. Great field position. You got a receiver open, unable to convert on that play, keep the drive alive. Now again, the momentum shifts over to the Mercer Bears, trailing by only 6 points.
And as you see Cooper kind of go off the field slowly without his helmet, got to remind you that backup quarterback Zion Webb, who came in on a scripted series in the first half, had to leave the game with a lower leg injury. And we haven't had any update on his status. It didn't look good when he left the field, so.
I've seen him on the sideline, and the entire time that he's been on the sideline, he's been testing that left leg. I just don't think he would be effective.
How did they get the punt out that time? Preston Knight had 3 Mercer Bears surrounding him, and somehow the ball came off his foot. We'll take a break. 1:53 left in the 3rd quarter. Interesting game here in Jacksonville today. Gamecocks with a 6-point lead. Late 3rd quarter, Mercer gets the ball back in poor field position, down by 6 here in Jacksonville in a battle with the Gamecocks. Devison with a handoff straight up the middle, and he gets about 3 yards. Another good defensive play by linebacker Markel Benton's, actually just a couple of yards on the carry, so 2nd and 8. So a chance for the Gamecock defense to get a 3 and out and get the ball right back.
Yeah, if I'm the Mercer offense, I'm thinking it's a better opportunity for us, even though they've got a long field.
Here's the handoff, sweeping left, first carry of the day by Ethan Durham. And a nice gain is the freshman from Canton, Georgia, will move the chains for the Bears.
Guys on the outside sealed a lane down the outside. Running back took advantage of it. 1st down Mercer out to the 25-yard line. Excellent job blocking out there.
6'3", 210-pound freshman, picking up a big first down out to the 25. So a little breathing room now for the Bears as the rain has just about stopped. The wind has died down, so conditions have really changed here in the last few minutes. Devizon picks up a couple of yards on first down.
Yeah, again, I'd be hard-pressed to throw this football with the success that Mercer's having running the football. And when you take Devizon out, you still put in a couple of really strong running backs.
But when you take him out for one play, you can make him run all the way across the field, make him run all the way back. Is he better off just staying in the game? What do you think?
You're exactly right. He did run further that way.
Frost swings it out. And a great defensive play out there by the JSU defense. First man on the spot was George Steele, the redshirt sophomore corner.
Nice job by Steele fighting off the block, making the first hit. Excellent pursuit by the Gamecock. Results in a very short game. And that's going to bring us to the end of the third quarter.
And a big 3rd and 7 on the other side when we come back as both teams hold up 4 as we head to the fourth quarter. Anybody's ball game in Jacksonville right now. Gamecocks with a 27-21 lead. You're watching college football on ESPN3. And we're back in Jacksonville, beginning the fourth quarter with a huge 3rd and 7 for Mercer at their own 28-yard line. Frost back to throw. Pass away. Pass is dropped at the 40. Would have been a first down, but Steven Peterson couldn't hold on to it, and Mercer will have to punt the football.
And what a great throw by Frost. Stood in the pocket. I don't know that he knew he was getting pressure, but he had pressure coming from that backside. Puts it right on the money. Ball went right through his hands and off his shoulder pads. Again, you got to come up with that catch, but you can attribute a lot of that to these weather conditions.
So here we go again. There's Grant Goupel, and he's awaiting the snap from Zach Lassiter. And they get it away this time. Nice punt. Fair catch called for by Charleston back at the 20. You know, Butch, for the first time today, the flag is there is no wind.
And looking at the radar, there's actually not supposed to be the heavy rain for the remainder of the game. So the conditions are going to be better. The ball is going to be wet no matter what. You know Mercer has to be worried about the snap and reception by the punter there on that punt play, but they got that taken care of and got off a very good punt. Forces JSU to start just outside their own 20-yard line. Turnover is going to be the key here. You turn the ball over, you're probably going to lose the football game.
Actually give the Gamecocks the ball at the 21. So first down, the handoff to West, who is in the game at running back now for the Gamecocks. And he runs into a wall of Bears at about the 25. Forward progress out to the 26. So good gain on first down for West of 5 yards.
Yeah, good job by those guys up front. West got 4 or 5 yards before anybody ever got to him. Defense shut it down at that point, but a good pickup on first down for the Gamecocks.
Gamecocks would love to mount a time-consuming drive here and get it down and make it a 2-score game. Here's West again, and he is stuffed at about the 27. Good play on the other side of the line of scrimmage for Mercer by Jaden Taylor, who's had a good game today for the Bears.
Yeah, a pickup of only 1. 3rd and 3. Boy, you do not want to get your defense back out on the field with a 3 and out here if you're the Gamecocks. Just the opposite if you're the Mercer Bears. Get a stop here, get that ball back to your offense with a tired defense in there.
They've had a couple of big stops in a row. Can they make it 3 in a row? 3rd down and 3 for the Gamecocks. Cooper gets rid of it quickly. It's caught. First down at the 35-yard line, as that is Jared Scott, the senior, making his first catch of the afternoon.
What a nice job by Scott going up, catching this ball, looking it into his hands. Boy, that is wet weather, closing that gap down between your fingers, coming up with that big third down reception, keeping the drive alive. Big play for the Gamecocks wide receiver.
And LaDerrick Johnson was right there and delivered the blow right after the catch. But Scott able to hold on. So first down for the Gamecocks, a big one at the 35. West upended for a very short gain. Nice stop there by safety Tyler Mackey, another true freshman. Mackey from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I tell you, they are selling out. When I say they, the linebackers are selling out when Coop goes to hand that ball to his running back. Look for JSU to come up with a fake and a bootleg. Cooper keeping the ball at some point in this fourth quarter. A lot of room to the outside if he does.
Cooper now 11 of 17 throwing for 123 yards. Hands off here though. West has got it. Nice game. Flag flies though behind the play in the area where you normally see holding. So this good game by West of 8 yards may be coming back.
Holding. Offense number 60. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains second down.
That is going to back the Gamecocks up. Excellent run by West. Apparently the hole was opened up because of holding. Big penalty here though.
See if we can see it. Number 60 is who they called it on. That is Zach Cangelosi.
Yeah, that actually happened. There was quite a bit of penetration, and the holding call happened right away when that defensive lineman got penetration.
So second down and long. Cooper goes to Berry, who gets a big chunk of it back out at the 42. So Trey Berry having himself a good day. That is his fourth reception of the day.
And a good job by Cooper standing in there, delivering the ball where he needed to. Berry, great job reading that defense, zone defense on the play, finding the opening. Cooper delivers it to the right spot on time. Third down and 3 now after that big reception by Trey Berry.
And Mercer gonna get a timeout here before the play.
Timeout, Mercer. Their first timeout of the half.
So the Bears use their first timeout. It comes with 11:25 to play here in the fourth. So a
Media
big
timeout.
third down and 3 on the other side of this break as we return to Jacksonville after this timeout. As we resume play from Burgess Snowfield, third down and 3 for Jacksonville State at their own 42. Big play for both teams here. Gamecocks clinging to a 6-point lead here in the fourth quarter. Cooper.
Probably a run-pass option on this play.
Takes the snap. Straight handoff to West. And he is cut down at the 43, a yard short. Outstanding defensive plays. We call the name of Michael Campbell. Once again, that's going to be fourth and about 1.5 yards. And you got to punt it here, Butch.
Yeah, I think you do. As much as you would like to go for it, just too risky, especially, again, in these weather conditions, if you didn't get a good snap or anything like that. Of course, punting the ball, my goodness. Mercer has gotten really, really close to blocking this thing a couple of times already.
Especially the last one. So here's Preston Knight. He didn't punt at all in the first half. He's been busy here in the second half. They come after it again, but get it away. Fair catch call for it at the 25-yard line by Mercer's Landon Miller. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Bears, and their defense, both defenses have played really, really well so far in this second half. Still a one-score game. Still plenty of time to go in this one.
Both teams have taken advantage of turnovers. JSU got 2 turnovers in the first half, turned it in 14 points. Mercer gets a turnover here in the second half. They turn it into 7 points. That's where we're at. This game is anybody's contest here with 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the ball game.
Frost looking over to the Mercer bench. getting the play squared away. Fake to throw on first down. He goes deep. Johnson's got it at the Gamecock 43. And that almost was a touchdown if Darius Joyner hadn't been able to make that tackle. That was a beautiful throw by Harrison Frost.
Gutsy call. All that success you've been having running the football, play action, covered well, but a perfect throw by Frost results in the big game.
Longest completion of the day for Frost. And look at Devison as he picks up about 8 or 9 down to the Gamecock 35.
Gaping hole at the point of attack. Tough running back to bring down. 9-yard gain.
Devison 21 carries now, 84 yards on the day. Gets another carry. He spins his way close to first down yardage as he tried to break away from Jalen Swain, the freshman defensive end who had a hold of him.
Swain got him down about as quickly as you could, but I believe that's going to be enough for the first down. Let's see if they're going to measure. Oh, they set the ball back. So maybe it's going to be just short. Umpire initially had it at the 33.
So 3rd and a half yard for the Bears. Frost lost it, got on it, but he lost a yard or two back to the 35. So if they choose to go for it, it'll be 4th and 2.
They're going for it. Biggie, that's why I told you earlier, I said JSU wasn't going to go for it because it was so risky in these conditions that you might have this happen. Oh, I'm telling you, I'm doing nothing but playing straight defense here. If he punts it, that's fine, but I'm looking for nothing but a fake here.
Interesting call by Coach Cronick. 4th and 2 at the Gamecock 35. He sends in the punting unit.
Playing field position.
JSU has nobody back.
Which I think is wise.
And a whistle before the snap.
Delay game. Kicking team number 97. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
I tell you, this is, one way to look at this is how well this Mercer defense has played here in the second half. I guess Coach Cronick feels really good about how his unit's been able to get off the field. But I tell you, 4th and 2 at the 35. Most coaches go for that.
Well, especially the way they've been running the football.
An end-over-end kick. And it just drops dead at about the 6. So they execute the punt. Gamecocks will have poor field position. We'll see what they do with it when we come back. Timeout on the field. 8:11 to play in this one. A tight one in Jacksonville. Gamecocks cling to a 6-point lead. Gamecocks on offense now as we resume play. First down at their own 6. Interesting decision by Coach Cronick. Going to rely on his defense here instead of going for it on 4th and 2 at the Gamecock 35. Patrick's in there now at running back, and he is stuffed after a gain of a couple of yards out to about the 7.
Well, that defense is just shutting it down on the inside. Gamecocks had some success in the first half, getting some movement. Not a lot of movement taking place right now in the trenches.
Second down and 9. They only give him a yard. Cooper keeps it right up the middle. And he's out across the 10 to the 12. It'll going to set up a 3rd down again. We've seen a lot of 3rd downs for both teams in this second half.
How many times have we said, what a big play this is? I mean, this has been a nail biter.
Gamecocks are 7 for 13 on 3rd downs, and this is 3rd and 4 from their own 12.
Do you put it in the air? I think you pretty much have to.
We'll see how the Gamecocks play it. Cooper Hands it off, Patrick, and he will not get there. Only a yard, maybe. So that'll bring up 4th and 3.
Obviously, you got to punt it away here. And you have to think that the Bears are about to get great field position, possibly even in JSU territory. Really, really conservative play calls by the Gamecocks. They only lead by 6. So both of these coaches, you can tell, have kind of called on their defense to stand up. The Bears defense did, forcing a punt by the Gamecocks.
And a flag before the snap.
Delay game. Kicking team.
Oh my goodness.
Half the 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat 4th down.
And it's raining again. Knight is about 1 step from being out of the end zone.
Good snap, gets it away. Fair catch called for and made by Landon Miller at the 42. So the strategy by Coach Cronick works out well. His team gets it back 1st and 10 at the 42. Another timeout on the field. Mercer with the ball, trailing by 6 when we come back to Jacksonville. A nail biter here in the 4th quarter in Jacksonville. Gamecocks have been held scoreless here in the 2nd half, but they still have a 6-point lead, and they defend this first down play very well, as no gain on the carry that time by Brandon Marshall. Or actually, they'll give him about 1.5 yards, so 2nd down, and we'll call it 8 yards from the 40. And the rain again picking up here in Jacksonville.
Wind calm, but the rain's falling pretty heavily.
A little flip to Johnson, lost it, so it's going to be an incomplete pass, but I don't know about that play selection. That was kind of
The ruling on the field is it was an incomplete pass as the quarterback threw the ball forward. It'll be 3rd down.
That play didn't look right from the get-go.
No, and I'm going to tell you, again, I hate to question the coaches, but, man, why in the world did you not give that ball to your big running back on 1st down? You give it to one of the smaller guys, he picks up 1.5 yards. Anyway, I just felt like you could pound this thing like you've been doing all day. Then you set yourself in a 2nd and long. Now you've got a 3rd down and long. That option play didn't work at all. The only thing that happened to the Bears' advantage there was that pitch was forward.
Your big running back still in there, Tyree Devizon. He's averaging right at 4 yards a carry today, but he hasn't touched it on this series. It's all of a sudden 3rd and 8. Pass is caught, but short of the 1st down. Ball came loose. It's picked up by the Gamecocks. No whistle, and it's going to be returned for a touchdown by Jacksonville State's Nicario Harper.
Game changer on the turnover. Mickey, we talked during the break. A turnover was probably going to decide this thing. I'm sure this will be reviewed.
Is the catch,
but right now, this is a game changer.
Return for a touchdown.
Andrew May, the freshman tight end. Let's see it again.
I can't tell when it comes out.
I tell you, that angle doesn't tell us anything definitively, but maybe this one will.
When did he lose control of it? The ball doesn't actually hit the ground until after his back hits the ground, but when did he come loose? I don't know. Golly, that's going to be hard to overturn.
I think that's your best view right there.
That would be very difficult to overturn.
But it won't even be reviewed. Extra point is good. So a bang play. Coach Cronick you can see the look of disbelief. Boy, I tell you, this play is going to be talked about after this game. Timeout on the field, 5:03 to play. Gamecocks with a huge play, now lead it by 13. And there's a look at the Mercer sideline. Coach Cronick was trying to get a timeout before the extra point. Obviously wanted to see that play looked at again by the officials.
From the angles we saw, it was close. I don't know if it could have been overturned with the call on the field being a fumble, but what a change in momentum that turnover was. Turnovers have been the big key throughout this ball game. Got JSU back in the game and in the lead. Come out in the second half, Mercer gets a turnover and sticks it in the end zone to cut it to 6. Potentially driving for the winning touchdown, turn the ball over, JSU scores, and takes a 13-point lead here with 5 minutes to go in the ball game.
There's the play where May, the tight end, lost the ball, and as he was going, the question, of course, was his back down simultaneously when the ball came out, and I think that would have been an interesting review, but instead, Jacksonville State now with a two-score lead, and Mercer can't just line up and run the ball at this point. Pass incomplete, intended for Fred Davis.
Yeah, and even though they're very capable of throwing the football, that is not what they do on a regular basis. So an uphill climb for sure for the Mercer Bears here late in the fourth.
Second down and 10 from the 30. Frost setting up the screen, and Yul Gowdy knocks the ball loose. Oh no, it's just a Mercer maintains possession. We see it again. I thought the ball came out.
It did come out, I believe, and went out of bounds. Yeah, there it goes.
Okay, I didn't think I was seeing things there. It just went out quick.
It did.
So 3rd and 13 for Mercer. Obvious passing situation. Gamecocks only rushed 3. Frost gets it out to Devizon, his running back, and he is swarmed under at the 30. So, again, this is just not the situation Mercer wants to be in, having to throw the football. It's going to be 4th down, and I tell you, that play just completely took the air out of their sails.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, you're a running football team, but I actually thought they had the advantage when they lined up 1st down in Gamecock territory. Was not thrilled about their play selection, but you know, he knows his team better than I do, that's for sure. But the resulting scoop and score by the Gamecocks put this thing out of reach.
Pass is tipped, and it's picked off by JSU's Marshall Clark. A flag came in on the play. So we'll see if it's against the offense, and the play stands.
Holding, offense, number 70. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a turnover. It'll be 1st down, Jacksonville State.
3rd turnover of the game for Mercer.
Take a look, good penetration, get that hand up. Interception, good return, JSU in business with a 13-point lead and the ball at the 32-yard line of the Bears.
Mercer's 2 turnovers have resulted in 14 JSU points.
And I know it only says 2 turnovers, but the 2 situations on the punting game are turnovers also.
They really are.
I mean, you might as well say 4.
So Gamecocks take over 1st and 10 at the Mercer 32. And they hand off right up the middle to Samuel for maybe a yard gain. Gamecocks now just want to run clock.
That's exactly right. Mercer has 2 timeouts remaining. again, JSU would be thrilled just to run 4 running plays here. Either make them use their timeouts, or if you're able to pick up the first down, you can run the clock out.
Gamecocks milking all of the play clock. Second down give. Samuel pushes the pile forward for about 3 yards to around the 28. So that'll set up 3rd down and 5.
And of course, it's 4-down territory. I don't try to kick a field goal here. If you don't get the first down, the only things that can happen pretty much are bad. If you get it blocked, bad snap, bad hold, whatever, you go for it no matter what. 4-down territory for the Gamecocks. Run that clock down as far as you possibly can. Again, I've got to give a tremendous amount of credit to this Mercer Bear team from an effort standpoint and execution standpoint.
And the handoff on 3rd down, Matthews has it and is close to a first down. He was taken off his feet by Solomon Zubaru, sophomore defensive lineman for
Timeout, Mercer.
Mercer takes
the first of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Mercer takes the timeout, stopping the clock with 2:02 now to play.
Yeah, this is for sure your ball game. You pick up the first down here.
Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 6 seconds, 2:06.
Well, you hear your official there letting you know the time that's remaining. And take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Mercer Bears. They'll be at Army on October the 24th, and then get to play Abilene Christian, who team that doesn't have a bad squad either. JSU goes on the road to North Alabama next week. They'll be up in Florence, and then at Florida International to finish off their fall season on October 23rd.
And the OVC schedule, we talked about that with Director of Athletics Greg Seitz at halftime. The OVC spring schedule was released yesterday. The Gamecocks will play their first conference game on February the 21st at Tennessee State. They have 3 home games next spring. Tennessee Tech on the 28th of February, SEMO on the 21st of March, and Austin Peay on the 28th of March. So just an odd situation, obviously, with what all we've gone through this year, with how COVID has affected college athletics, college football especially. So, and the question of which guys will come back and be around when those spring games
That's exactly
occur.
right. Will Cooper come back for the Gamecocks?
So 4th and 2. Matthews taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Outstanding penetration that time by Zach Hopkins, a sophomore linebacker from Madison, Alabama. So Mercer will get it back with 2:03 to play. Still, though, trailing by 13.
Well, Mercer sails out against the run, comes up with a stop. Gamecocks could have ended the ball game if they were able to pick that up, but Matthews had no chance.
The rain just falling ever so lightly now. Basically no wind inside the stadium now. Davis in motion, Frost fakes. Zips it downfield, incomplete. Johnson, the intended receiver, but outstanding coverage that time by Nicario Harper and Marshall Clark.
Well, this is when you like to play defense. You know what the offense is going, what they've got to do. This is a fun time to be on the defensive side. Not so much on offense.
Harrison Frost now 8 of 19 in the game for 70 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception.
And the wind picks up a little bit also.
All of a sudden the wind picks up, the rain picks up. Frost has a receiver wide open at the 40 and connects with number 19, Steve Patterson.
Gamecocks playing very cushion defense in the secondary. Mercer, of course, going quickly.
Correction, Ty James receiving that pass. And back to the ground again with Devizon. And that puts Devizon over 90 yards rushing in the game, as he is almost at 100 yards for the day, and he is a little banged up on the play.
I have been tremendously impressed with that young man, though. His running ability, caught a pass out of the backfield, and effort. Wide open every time he gets the football.
And he gets some assistance off the field, and his day may be done.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't risk losing that guy.
I wouldn't be surprised if they take him straight to the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have him for the rest of your season.
So 1st and 10, Mercer at the Gamecock 48 as they wind the clock. 1.5 minutes to play. Pass is caught by Johnson, but he is immediately stopped in his tracks by Jason Jones.
Was able to get out of bounds. So the clock stops under 2 minutes.
Second down and 7 at the Gamecock 45. Cross gets it away, pass behind the intended receiver, Ty James. So it's going to bring up 4th down.
James doesn't know it till he goes back and looks at it on film, but actually it's a good thing for him that his quarterback threw the ball behind him. He needed to settle down in that area in between the defenders and make the reception. Quarterback leads him there. He led him into a lot of trouble. So it was actually a smart throw by the quarterback. Receiver just wasn't on the same page.
Correction, 3rd down and 7. Gamecocks rush 3. Frost goes over the middle. He's got his tight end. That is Pedro Rodriguez, redshirt freshman, first catch of the day. And it's a 1st down at the Gamecock 30.
Team that doesn't throw the ball that often, doing a pretty good job of it on this drive.
Frost under pressure, passes away, nearly intercepted. Outstanding position that time by Jamius Presley, as he was in better position than the wide receiver.
He did. He jumped that route as if he had been in the huddle. Incompletion stops the clock. 57 seconds. Bears pretty much have to get in the end zone on one of these next 2 plays to have any chance to recover an onside kick.
Frost goes for the home run. He's got the touchdown. Connects with Ethan Durham, the freshman from Canton, Georgia.
Just a back shoulder throw, one-on-one coverage. Defensive back never saw the ball. Receiver adjusts to it. Touchdown Bears, no quit in this bunch. One more look. Perfect throw by Frost.
They've got an injured Mercer player down on the field at the 10-yard line, one of their offensive linemen. I see number 73. That's John Thomas, a sophomore from Marietta, Georgia, as they're looking at his right leg.
Boy, you sure don't want anybody getting hurt here. And it's not, look, I know a lot of times people do this to stop the clock. That's not the case here because the clock doesn't run on the extra point attempt. So no reason for him to go down faking it. I don't think that's the case at all in this situation. But Mercer Bears giving themselves a chance. I mean, I think the recovery rate of onside kicks is like less than 10%, but there's still a chance.
And the extra point is right through there. So it is a 6-point game now with 51 seconds left, and obviously Mercer will line up and attempt an onside kick.
Yep.
Don't go away yet, folks.
Well, it's coming on the next kickoff, and it's just a matter of who gets the ball. They do have one timeout left if they are able to recover this too. Boy, I hated this. They've changed the rules some now, but used to you didn't have to wait for the ball to go 10 yards before you hit the receiving team. You do now. The ball has to go 10 yards before you can make contact with the receiving team. Now, of course, it always just had to go 10 yards before you could touch it. But when you were the receiving team, so they always had the good hands people in there, and you would take a smack because you're looking to get the ball, and the guy's running wide open. And again, remember back then you could get a running start on the kickoff team. Now you have to be stationary when you start, but they would get a running start, and I think one of the hardest hits I ever took was against Chattanooga on a play like this.
So it comes down to this. Gamecocks recover. They can close the game out. If Mercer can get it, they still have life with 51 seconds to play. There's the kick, and it is safely handled by Jacksonville State.
Nice job. That ball kicked kind of to the left. JSU able to haul that in.
Logan McVeigh.
McVeigh's had a lot of big plays today. Probably nothing bigger than this one, though. Take a look at the kick to his left, and yet he's able to get it. And look, if he doesn't get that hand on the ball, there is absolutely no doubt Mercer's going to recover.
Yep, they got the bounce they needed.
They really did.
So again, Mercer does have one timeout to spend if they choose to.
Yeah, no need now, though.
As long as JSU can execute the snap, which wouldn't be a given at certain times today,
No,
and
you're right.
the way the weather's been.
You're right. Snap it one more time.
I tell you though, what a interesting debut though for Coach Nick Cronick at Mercer. I think this team, they obviously got a strong running game. Their defense played well in the second half today. And I think their passing game has a lot of upside to it.
Well, I'm impressed with both their offensive and defensive front, and their quarterback showed me a lot today throwing the ball and managing the game.
Meanwhile, Jacksonville State comes home, plays their only home game. And they were tested today. And they get it done as they win another home opener for Coach John Gross as he comes out across the field and exchanges a handshake with Coach Nick Cronick. Two class acts there down at midfield. Two class teams, great effort today. Fun game to watch.
It really was exciting from the get-go.
Tough weather conditions. You got to tip your hat to both teams and the fans who showed up, the bands who braved the elements today and contributed to the homecoming atmosphere here at Burgess Snowfield. Great game. Only a home game this fall, but it was a good one for those in attendance today. Thanks for tuning in here today on ESPN3. For Butch Barker and our entire crew, Mickey Shadrick saying so long for Jacksonville as the Gamecocks improve to 1-1 on the season with a 34-28 victory today in the first ever meeting with the Mercer Bears. So long from Jacksonville.